We are very peaceful people.
CNN's Donny O'Sullivan checked in with several lunatic Trump supporters a year after the Capitol riots to see if they're still crazy. Spoiler alert, yes, they're still crazy. Check this out.
January 6th attack was not the Republicans nor Trump. It was the Democrats were behind it all. They're the ones that caused it all.
Do you really believe that?
I know it. And there is no way that a Republican would act that way. And there is no way that Trump had anything to do with what happened on January 6th.
But what about all the Trump supporters that have been charged and indicted?
Because it's all Democratic judges and people that were on the take from the Democrats.
I think the whole reporting of it is a giant hoax. We are very peaceful people. So it was a total setup. To me, it was the FBI had set it up. I don't believe that they were Trump supporters that did that.
You said the whole thing's a setup. You don't really believe that, do you?
I do. Because Trump won the election. They've proven it over and over again.
I really don't think Trump had much to do with it, and people that were supporters for him, some were involved, but I think they were enticed by the FBI and by undercover agents.
All right, so I'm going to get to why these people feel this way. I'm also going to get to some data or some information around the investigations into the rioters, who they were. Clearly, yes, they were on the right. They were Trump supporters. They have connections to far-right groups. But before I get to any of that, let me just briefly quote some of what we heard there. Quote, "The Democrats were behind it," which, I mean, you could argue in some way by the Democratic Party being so completely weak and not properly fighting Republicans that, yeah, in some way they did help to cause this because they have not fought them properly. But obviously, this was not a Democratic operation. These were Republican voters, conservative voters, Trump supporters doing this. Also, quote, "No way a Republican would act that way." Yes. No way, even though far right-wing terrorism right now is the most common form of terrorism in the U.S. But no way a Republican would act that way. Quote, "We are peaceful people." Quote, "I don't believe they were Trump supporters," and quote, "Trump won the election." So let me get to why these people have these conspiracies. It gets to how weak these individuals are on an emotional level. So this from Politico, this was reporting around Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, and his conspiracies about how Trump was going to be declared president in August, in September, in November, in December, this month, next month. It's going on and on and on. Trump is not going to be declared president. Trump did not win the election. Trump lost the election. But this is why these people feel this way. One feature of conspiracy theories researchers have found is that they can function as a coping mechanism in times of uncertainty or angst, offering straightforward and satisfying answers to conditions believers can't accept. The fact that a large majority of Republican voters believe Trump's claims that the election was rigged has allowed the party to forego the kind of soul-searching post-mortems that traditionally follow electoral defeats. For Mike Lindell, no introspection is required if Trump didn't really lose. Voting machines were hacked, he believes, and Trump will be reinstated. So this is all a coping mechanism. These people believe this big lie because their heart can't take that Donald Trump lost the election, that a majority of people that voted against him. Now, some information here around the January 6th investigation. So there are 140 prosecutors that have worked on the investigation. 20,000 investigators have gone through more than 20,000 hours of footage have been looked at by investigators. 725 people have been arrested. At least 165 people have pleaded guilty, most to misdemeanors. About 70 have been sentenced, and about 30 have received prison time. Others got probation. Now, a little look into who these people are. So the charges defendants have faced in riot cases range from misdemeanors such as parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building to felonies like assaulting a police officer with a deadly weapon. The Justice Department has brought conspiracy charges against about 40 defendants, most of whom prosecutors say have ties to far-right extremist groups such as the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers. But no, We are peaceful people. No way a Republican would act that way. It's hard to know whether these individuals here actually believe this or they're just lying to the camera to protect their side. But when it comes to, a couple of those old ladies there, I think they actually believe it. They do think they are a peaceful bunch because whatever media they consume tells them that, even though the reality is quite different. Now, this also goes to this one story here I want to highlight. This is from back in May, but it's worth pointing this out. So this 18-year-old turned his father in, who was at the Capitol riot. And this guy, of course, a member of the Texas Three Percenters militia, which is a far right-wing group. So when he returned to Texas, the father that was charged, according to prosecutors, he delivered an ominous threat to his son Jackson, 18, and daughter Peyton, 16, about what would happen if they told anyone what he'd done. Quote, "If you turn me in, you're a traitor, and you know what happens to traitors. Traitors get shot." What he didn't know was that his son had already turned him in. And good thing he did, because his father sounds like a complete lunatic. So, of course, more here on the Three Percenters. So many adherents in the militia movement strongly support President Donald Trump. Trump supporters. Three Percenters have not been as active during Trump's reign in opposing the federal government because of that, directing their ire at other perceived foes, including leftists/Antifa, Muslims, and immigrants. Yeah, far-right group, Republicans, Trump supporters, peaceful group.